This is subject and predicate exercise 2. Again, we're going to go through and do the same thing. Identify the prepositional phrases by placing parentheses around them. So number 1, chickens and eggs abounded on the farm with chickens running around the yard all day long. So on the farm is a prepositional phrase with chickens running around the yard. Okay. And I'm going to tell you right now, this word running is a verb, but the way it's being used here is it's describing the chickens. So whenever it's used as a description, we don't call it a predicate of the sentence. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out all of these words because we won't be finding our subjects and verbs there. All right, now we have to go and look for our verb. And this word abounded, may not know what it means, but I know it's a verb because it ends in ed. So abounded, and I ask, that means they were plentiful. What abounded? And chickens. And then we have this word and, so whatever chickens is, so is eggs. So they're both acting as the subject of the sentence. And I'm just going to put 3 here because that's what we have. All right. Number 2, let's find our prepositions. Prepositional phrases of chickens is a prepositional phrase. Every year tells when. So we are looking for a verb, and raised here is our predicate because it is the verb. Now ask, who raised? Teddy's mother, Jessie. So this one's kind of confusing because we have 2 words that could be subject, both mother and Jessie. But mother, because it comes first, is our subject. So we're going to underline that once. And when we have something like this, we call this word an appositive. And you don't have to know that, but just so you know, mother, because mother comes first, it is the subject of the sentence. All right, number 3, we look for our prepositional phrases. To Mercy Hospital and in the city. So I'm going to mark those out because they come at the end of the sentence. Well, that's not always true though, is it? All right, what is the action that happened? The action is sold. I'm going to underline sold with 2 lines. Who sold or what sold? Who sold the big white eggs? What sold the big white eggs? The answer to that is family. So family is the subject. Number 4, let's identify our prepositional phrases. So we have to the city, to drop. Oh, that's not in, that is an infinitive because drop is a verb. And off an egg order is a prepositional phrase. So we have to drop off an egg order is the entire infinitive phrase. So I'm going to put a mark through that. And now we're looking for the action. What is the action of Teddy's father, Simon, drove weekly? Well, the word is drove is our verb. I'm going to underline that twice. And now we ask, who drove or what drove? What drove? Well, father is the subject. And we remember Simon is in a positive. So father drove is our subject and verb in that sentence. Number 5, okay, it starts with the there, so I've got to be careful. My subject and verb is going to be inverted, but I'm going to go ahead and find my prepositional phrases. So in the hospital is a prepositional phrase. My eye comes to this who is a relative pronoun, and that tells me I'm going to probably have 2 sets of subjects and verbs, but I'm not for sure. For breakfast is another prepositional phrase that I overlooked. Okay, now I want to find what is my verb. Was is always a linking or helping verb, but it's a linking verb here. So now I say who was, what was. Well, here we have there was, but I know when I see the word there, my subject is going to come to the right of the verb. So who was Who was there? And the answer to that is someone. Someone was there. Okay. Then we have who, and then we have needed. And needed, I know, is a verb. So I'm going to underline that, and I'm going to look for, ask myself, who needed? What needed eggs? Well, the answer is the word who is a pronoun, so therefore it is the subject of that second clause. So this who, sometimes it can be the subject, and it indicates that this is another sentence. And we'll learn all about that later. But this one has 4. Okay. Now the next one, look here, it is a question. So we need to be careful. So we're going to look first of all for our prepositional phrases. And about most is a prepositional phrase. And what is the verb? Did. Oops. Did worry. Worry is a verb. So we have 2. Okay, now then, we ask ourselves the question, who did worry? What did worry? Well, who, when we ask that, it's the family. So family is our subject. So we have 3 in this one. Number 7. Coyotes and raccoons sneaked in and killed the chickens if there was a hole in the chicken house. Sneaked in, but there's no and killed. So that one's not going to be a prepositional phrase. A hole in the chicken house is a prepositional phrase, so I can mark that out. I'm not going to find my subject and verb in a prepositional phrase. So put a line through that. Okay, so now I want to find a subject and verb. So sneaked is a verb. I'm going to underline that, and I'm going to look to see if it has a subject. Who sneaked? What sneaked? Coyotes sneaked. And because there's an and between the 2, I know I have a compound, raccoons. So I have a compound subject and verb, coyotes and raccoons sneaked. Okay, in and, oh, this is interesting because in tells where. Now I have another and. So is this and joining? What's it joining? It's joining the verbs. I have another ed word. So I'm going to underline killed. So we have a compound subject and a compound verb. The coyotes and raccoons sneaked and killed the chickens. Okay, now I still have a lot of words here, so I want to make sure I don't have another subject and verb. So I'm going to look for a verb, and I see the word was. So I'm going to underline that, and I'm going to ask who was, what was there, who was there, what was there. And the answer to that is whole. A whole was there. And here I have this word if, and I should have seen that because this is a subordinating conjunction that tells me I want to have another subject and verb. So this one we have a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 subjects and verbs in that sentence. Okay, number 8. Let's find our prepositional phrases of chickens and in one night. And so we will not find a subject and verb in these phrases. I can mark those out. Now I'm looking for an action word. I know could and decimate. Those are my verbs. Okay, who could decimate? What could decimate? And varmints is the answer. Okay, number 9. So we have 3 on this one. Number 9, we are looking for our prepositional phrases. Here's to a commotion, in the hen house, and a terrier mixed mutt. Those are prepositional phrases. So I'm going to put a line through this and a line through this. Okay, now I am looking for a verb. So I hear 2 ed words. So barked, I'm going to underline that, and alerted. I'm going to underline that. Okay. Now I want to ask myself, who barked and alerted? What barked and alerted? And the answer to that is the dog. So we have, now this comma right here tells me that some sort of terry mixed mutt, that's more description of the dog. And let me just tell you, if you're ever writing, you don't ever put a comma between your subject and your verb unless you have like a phrase that you could like pick up and take out. So this is correctly written. So dog barked and alerted, that's 3. All right, the last one. We want to find our prepositional phrases. So to find a coyote trying to get inside. So what we have here is 2 infinitive phrases. So we're not going to use these as our subjects and verbs. I'm going to draw a line through it. So now ran is my verb. Underline that twice and ask myself, who ran outside? What ran outside? They is the correct answer. Okay. So this sentence has, we have 30 this for this exercise. So count up the number you have correct and put it over 30.